prism. Now, the volume of a prism has the same basic formula. They gave you two extra ones that work for specific types of prisms. But in general, we can go ahead and use the volume, which, remember, the volume is the capacity of a figure. So if you wanted to fill it up with water, for example, it's how much space is inside of the solid. The formula for that is that the volume equals capital B times H. Now, the capital B is the area of the base. Again, the reason we have to give just a general formula like that is because a prism can have any polygon on its base. It could be a triangle, square, rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, octagon. So we just have to go with area of the base times the height. And what that does is the area of the base tells you how big around your figure is. The height tells you how many layers you have of that. So you take your area of the base times the number of layers, tells you how much you have inside the figure. Okay, so this is the basic one that you would want to put in your notes, area of a prism, or excuse me, volume of a prism. There's two specific ones that they gave you specific formulas for. The volume of a rectangular prism, which is a prism with a rectangle base, is length times width times height. And notice length times width is the area of a rectangle, so this is still area of the base, length times width, times the height. They also gave you a formula, a separate formula for the volume of a cube. It's the side cubed. And so again, this is still just the area of the base times the height. The area of this base would be s times s, or s squared, and then you're multiplying by another s, so you get s to the third. Okay, so it all comes from this same formula. They just wanted to give you these more specific ones to make that a little easier on you when you do rectangular prisms and cubes. So I would put all three in my notes. Make sure you label them very accurately, okay, as to what they stand for, okay, what they're the volume of, and what each letter in the formula stands. So for V is the volume, capital B is the area of the base, and H is the height. Here, L is length, W is width, H is height, and here S is the length of a side. Okay, those are three separate formulas for three separate figures. Cubes and the prism, rectangular prisms are a type of prism, but it's easier to separate them off. Well, here we have two examples. Let's find the volume of these. So notice this is a rectangular prism. Okay, it has a rectangle base, 5 by 8, and a height of 2. So we can go ahead and use the formula that volume is length times width times height for this one, since it's a rectangular prism. So we have 5 times 8 times 2. And just like that, we have answered the problem. 5 times 8 times 2 is 80. And our measurements for volume are in cubic. So this would be 80 cubic inches. Okay, so that wasn't bad at all. Here's another prism. Now, what kind is this? This isn't a rectangular prism. It doesn't have a rectangle base. It has triangle bases. The triangle has a leg length 3 and another leg length 3. And then here is our height. Remember, the height is not how tall it is necessarily. It's the distance between your two congruent bases. So our bases were triangles at each end, and then we had a height of 5. This is a prism, so we're going to use the formula that the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So let's go over here and find the area of the base first, so that we have everything we need for our formula. I know the height's 5. Got that down. Perfect. But we need to find what the area of the base is. Well, this is a triangle, so go back in your notes. How do you find the area of a triangle? And hopefully you know that it's base times height divided by 2. Now, base and height mean the base and height of the triangle, which in this case are 3 and 3. So we have 3 times 3 divided by 2. 3 times 3 is 9, and then divide by 2, we get 4.5. Okay, so the area of our base is 4.5 feet. Square feet, actually. And so now we have both parts that we need, and we can come back up here and put them into our formula for volume. It's the area of the base, which we just found was 4.5, times the height of our prism, not the height of our triangle, which was 5. So we do 4.5 times 5, and we get 22.5. And again, this is in cubic measurements, so it's cubic feet. Let me write that again down here, 22.5 cubic feet. So volume really isn't bad as long as you just go one step at a time and give it a chance to work out in the formula. Here's one in words. Find the volume of a triangular prism. It's important to watch for those so you know what you're finding. We're finding volume, so we know to use a volume formula, and it's of a triangular prism. So volume of a prism is area of the base times the height. Okay? With a height of 12 yards, so there's our height, h, and whose base is a right triangle with legs 6 and 4 yards. Okay, so what would this look like? It would look a lot like that last question we had with the triangular prism. Okay, we have, but its legs are like 6 and 4 instead of 3 and 3. So this is kind of what it would look like. Okay, this is a triangular prism. Legs 6 and 4. They had to give us that so we could find the area of our base, because that's part of our formula. And then they gave us the height was 12 yards. So again, make sure you have your two parts that you need for your formula. You need to have the height, which we do. Okay, so I can go ahead and put the height in here. The volume equals whatever the area of the base is times the height. I know the height is 12, but I need to find out what the area of the base is. So I come down here and I go, okay, what shape is my base? It's a triangle. Specifically, it's a right triangle, and its legs are 6 and 4. That's the base and height of our triangle, which is what we need. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. We put in our base and our height for our triangle, mind you, not the height of your prism. Okay, so we put in 6 and 4, divide by 2. 6 times 4 is 24, divided by 2 is 12. So the area of our base is 12 also. So we bring it up here. We have area of the base times the height, gives us 12 times 12, which gives us 144 cubic yards.